Looking for a better way to get around LA? SoCal 511 gives you real-time traffic alerts to help you find faster ways to get around LA County. It's totally free and helps motorists easily find fast track and roadside assistance services. Visit go511.com or dial 511 on your phone.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers are back in action tonight. They play Phoenix at Crypto.com. It's a quarterfinal game in the NBA's in-season tournament. The winner advances to the semifinals in Vegas on Thursday. 7 p.m. tip-off tonight on TNT. This is not a good time for a bye week for Magic Johnson's NFL team, the Washington Commanders. As part owner of the Commanders, Magic will have extra time to think about what's wrong with his team. The 4-9 Commanders are in last place in the NFC East and have lost 4 straight. Magic has watched the Commanders' defense give up 90 points in their last 2 games. Next game for the Commanders is against the Rams on December 17th at SoFi. The transfer portal, otherwise known as free agency for NCAA football, is open. Student athletes have until January 2nd to apply at other schools. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's the gift-giving season, and we have a gift for you. Visit us online at KBLA.store for holiday savings of 20% off all of our KBLA swag. For the best in merch, gift ideas, books, media, and more, log on to KBLA.store right now. And be sure to check out our KBLA team favorites at KBLA.store today. That's KBLA.store for all our official merch on your favorite talk radio station, KBLA Talk 1580, at 20% off, but only during the holiday season. Happy holidays.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
Shut up already. Damn. Tell me who in this house know about the quake? I mean, really? Really? If you know how to rock, say yeah. Yeah. If you know how to party, say oh yeah. Oh yeah. But if you ain't hip to the rare house quake, shut up already. Damn. House quake. Everybody jump up and down. House quake. Oh, there's a brand new groove going round. In your funky town. You gotta rock this mother set. We gotta rock this mother set. We gonna show you what to do. You put your foot down on the 2. You jump up on the 1. Now you're having fun. You're doing the house quake. Hey, question. Does anybody know about the quake? Bullshit. You can't get on until you make the house shake. Now everybody clap your hands. Come on.
I'm Tavis Smiley, and that is the purple one, who I miss dearly. But his stuff sounds as good now as it ever did. Matter of fact, sounds better. The longer he's gone, the better it sounds to me. I digress on that. What a great conversation with Ellie Mistall in that first hour, and it's only going to get better. And I didn't plan it this way, but 2 brilliant attorneys back-to-back, 2 hours on this program. Ellie Mistall, again, as good as they come. And this guy's pretty good himself. He is a famed attorney, George Fatherhood III. And with the launch of Oro Impact, that's O-R-O Impact, he aims to revolutionize access to home ownership in America by addressing 2 national challenges simultaneously: down payment affordability, always a big issue for our community, and record low employee tenure, another issue that we'll talk about in this hour. After helping the Bruce family recover its Bruce's Beach property in Manhattan Beach, California, George Fatherhood III now turns his attention to the issue of home and property ownership for millions of other Americans just like you through his new venture, Oro Impact. He joins us live in studio now to talk all about it. I'm delighted to have him for the hour. George, good to see you, my friend. How are you, sir?
I'm great, brother. Good to be here. Thank you for having me. Me and the team, we've been working hard to get this new company off the ground, and this is the one and only place that I wanted to come to make the announcement. So thank you for having us.
It's my great delight to have you here, and glad that folk in L.A. and others across the country will be able to hear what this new venture is all about. Let me start with this. I want to start with Bruce's Beach. I think many people came to know you because of your success on the Bruce's Beach issue. And after all those years, 100 years as it were, getting that land back for this family. We've talked about that before in your prior appearances on this program. But I'm curious as to what happened in that moment. What was the epiphany? What was the aha moment vis-a-vis the Bruce's Beach issue that got you to this?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, so let me talk a little bit, Tavis, about the genesis for Oro Impact. Mm-hmm. Once my involvement in Bruce's Beach became public and we started, appeared on your show, I started hearing from black families across the country. Mm-hmm. I would get a voicemail or an email every day. At this point, I at some point stopped counting, but have close to 400. And the emails went like this. Attorney Fathery, our family owned 40 acres of oil land in Louisiana. When my great-grandfather died, they forged his name on the deed and we lost everything. Can you help us? Attorney Fathery, we had 100 acres of farmland in South Texas. The sheriff came with guns and dogs and said if we didn't leave town, there'd be trouble. We lost everything. Can you help us? Got hundreds of these phone calls and emails. And what I realized pretty quickly is that the law does not provide a remedy for that loss. So then I started doing research. And these are just the folks who knew to reach out to me, but I knew that these were not the only incidents. So I started doing research, and I started understanding these were all stories of black families who had managed to acquire, managed to own property, and had it taken away. The research that I did, though, focused on something else. It focused on all the folks in our community who never had the opportunity to acquire property, right? I went back to the 1900s when cities like Baltimore started implementing racial zoning, right? The city council voted and said, black people cannot buy property in this part of the city. Now, we know the Supreme Court struck that down. The Supreme Court said, hey, cities, the government can't do that. But what arose after that was struck down was racially restrictive covenants. Supreme Court said the government can't tell black people they can't live here, but that doesn't stop private individuals from doing it. When that got challenged, we saw homeowners associations come up, right? And zoning, where it said, okay, this part of town is not for multifamily homes. You can't have apartment buildings here. It's just single family homes. Got to be minimum square footage. All of those laws and regulations, they had a single intent, and it was to keep black folks out of the neighborhood. So on the one hand, Tavis, I've got hundreds of emails and voicemails and stories about black families who've acquired property against the odds and have had it stolen, taken, eminent domain, urban renewal, removed from their families. On the other hand, we've got this well-documented history of how the government at every level, local, state, and federal, has led policies to prevent black people from acquiring property in the first place. And you realize that, that is the source of the racial wealth gap that we see today, right? The way that we as Americans build wealth is through home ownership. So I start thinking about the wealth gap. I start thinking about the racial wealth gap. I start thinking about, how do we build wealth? It's through owning properties, passing that property down. And I start to focus in on what's the barrier to home ownership.
Hold that thought.
Okay.
When we come forward, we'll pick the story up right there. What is the barrier to home ownership? He is the founder of Oro Impact. He's announcing it today, and you're hearing about it first on Tavis Smiley.
This is getting good. Yeah, man. Tavis Smiley continues when we come forward.
Escalade IQ. This the intro to the all-electric Cadillac, perfection like zoom. And on a full charge, you get 450 miles without the stop haiku. This is what I do, daddy fat in the lack since 92. Linked all the way back, panoramic roof. Come with 24-inch rim standard. Ooh, why? Shawty don't kill him. Cadillac diamond in the back, cold chillin'. And when I'm on attack, on the track is no ceiling. Sky's the limit, you hear me? You hear me? Straight drop, no parachutes. Lay lines like a longitude and latitude. Feel it, beloved, clearly we're hustling. Bustin', truckin'. Cadillac, Cadillac, Cadillac.
For more on the Escalade IQ, visit Cadillac.com.
Available late 2024. GM estimate 450-mile range on a full charge based on development testing and/or analytical projection consistent with the CHA 1634 revision 2017 MCT. Range subject to change prior to production. Annual rates may vary based on service factors, including ambience temperature, terrain, battery age, and condition loading, and how you use and maintain your vehicle.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, Maisha Cairo here, KBLA, live at Chase Bank on Crenshaw and Vernon for the In This Together tour with female business owners, a day of empowerment, community panels, and best of all, tips on building business from marketing to capital. I was able to speak with one of the panelists, the owner of Kids Love. Take a listen.
So Kids Love, KIDSLUV, is a first-to-market zero-sugar, vitamin-enhanced functional beverage for kids.
So the zero sugar is really important because if not, the sugar gets on the teeth, it can cause cavities. So as a mom, I love this vitamins and hydration in one. Tell us what's happening here with Chase Bank today.
So I would say, I think what Chase is trying to do is create a community actually for entrepreneurs, a place where people can go. They have the space to do it. It's a beautiful space. And to be able to have these conversations. There are so many benefits to being a women-owned and certified business from a standpoint of getting into stores, not paying the slotting fees of what it takes to be in stores. So I think Chase is trying to bring awareness to a lot of the things that people just don't know about, that not only the bank can help, but outside of the bank, their relationships can help create.
That's beautiful. And I know, this is how we build equity in communities of color, is kind of spreading that information and that knowledge. So thank you for being here today and doing your part and letting these women know that it is possible.
For KBLA 1580, I'm Maisha Cairo in the community with Chase.
There are 1,000 ways to say it.
Nope. Knock it off. Shut it down. Dream on. No dice. Give it a rest. Not a chance.
Or just...
All text. You focus on the road.
As a passenger, you have the power to prevent an accident. There are 1,000 ways to stop a distracted driver. Choose one.
A message from CTIA.
Let's get back to more of Tavis Smiley right now.
George, I was just asking you during the break if you are familiar with this Raul Peck documentary, Silver Dollar Road. Raul was a guest on this program a couple weeks ago when the doc came out about what happened to this black family in the Carolinas.
Yeah, still happening,
right?
Still happening, trying to stop it. But that's, Tavis, look, that's a perfect example, right? Yeah. That's a family that was able to own property and is in the process today of having folks trying to take it from them. Yeah. And that's how they've stopped us from building wealth.
Yeah. So you were just ramping up, man. You were coming down the runway about to take off, and to tell me, and then I got to this point, Tavis, in my research where I wrestled with this question, started wrestling with this question: what keeps us from home ownership?
So look, this is not tough, right? We know that the way to build wealth is through home ownership. We also know the leading barrier to home ownership is having enough money to make a significant down payment. You got tens of millions of folks in this country right now, and a majority of folks from our community, who the amount that they pay each month in rent would cover a monthly mortgage. What don't they have? They don't have a rich uncle. Right? I almost named the company richuncle.com because that's what we're missing.
Yeah.
And so let me tell you about Oro Impact. What Oro Impact is, it's a social impact fintech. And for those of your listeners who aren't familiar, fintech just means it's a financial services company that utilizes technology, relies on technology. Oro Impact is a social impact fintech that aims to revolutionize access to home ownership. And how we do that is we make it very, very easy for companies to make a loan to its employee that the employee can use to make a down payment on a home. That's what we do.
It seems so simple.
Listen, let me tell you a story. A lot of folks don't know this, but in 2001, my wife and I, we moved back. We were living in New York. She just got her master's from Columbia. Mm-hmm. We moved back to Pasadena. We were broke. We didn't have a penny. We had probably close to 6 figures in school loan, but we wanted to start a family. We wanted to buy a home. I got a job offer from McKinsey & Company, mm-hmm. and they offered me $50,000 to make a down payment on a home. 10% interest. That was high interest. Mm-hmm. But the deal was, they said, look, as long as you stay employed here, you don't have to make monthly payments. You can pay us back out of your bonus, or we'll forgive the loan if you stay a certain period of time. We bought that first home. We lived there for 2 years, sold the home, made enough money to pay off school debt, pay back McKinsey, pay off the interest rate, and we still had enough money to make a down payment on the next home. We have literally tens of millions of Americans who could realize the dream of home ownership if they had that money to make that down payment. At the same time, you've got companies that are struggling with employee retention. Mm-hmm. It's not like when my mom was working and you'd get your job and you'd stay at that company for 20 or 30 years. Mm-hmm. Average tenure now for an employee is between 3 to 4 years. Mm-hmm. That turnover costs companies tens of millions of dollars every year. And so for the company, the proposition is, listen, go to your employees who are trying to build wealth, struggling to buy a home, and offer to lend them money to make a down payment. Now, it's up to the company. The company can say, look, if you stay here 6 years, we're going to forgive that down payment loan. Or they could say, look, you've got to pay it back, but you don't have to start making payments until, 5 years when you're making more money, you got some equity. Or they could say, look, you don't have to make payments, but when you sell the home, you got to pay us back. And that's what Oro Impact does, is we help the company design the program, we administer the program. But the motto of the company, or our tagline for the company is helping your most important assets invest in theirs. Mm-hmm. This is a win-win. We're helping employees build wealth through home ownership, and we're helping employers retain their employees. Mm-hmm. That's what we're doing.
Let me play. It's a brilliant idea. Let me just do this now. I thought to do this later. Let me just do it now, though, before we get too deep into this. So I happen to know, because I know you, George Fatherhood III, that you left a very, very lucrative practice. You were a partner in a major firm. I need to call their name, but everybody knows where you were. Major firm in this country, not just in the city. Lucrative partner. And you walked away from all that money. You walked away from all that to do this. Before I get much deeper into this, I'm always fascinated by people, and I know something of risk-taking myself a little bit, but I'm always amazed with people who walk away from this to try and do that. What you have is already guaranteed. You got money in your pocket. You got money in the bank. You got status. You got stature. You got clients. You just mentioned you got 400 people, trying to get a hold of you to be their attorney after the Bruce's Beach success. And you walked away from all of that to go do this. Why?
Yeah, look, Tavis, it became clear to me, that this was my calling, brother. Mm-hmm. I mean, like I said, I got these hundreds of emails from these families, and what you realize when you look at our law and when you understand how our judicial system works, mm-hmm. is we don't have an adequate legal remedy for these folks, right? For this land loss that happened 100 years ago, that happened 60 years ago.
And why I'm curious, why do we not? You made it happen for Bruce's Beach. Yeah. So there's two questions here. I don't normally do this. Let me ask two questions to get out of your way. One, why do we not have an adequate legal remedy for that? And if we don't have it, how did you pull it off in the Bruce's Beach case?
Yeah, look, the reason we don't have it is easy. It's because we haven't been on the side that's been making the laws
fair
for the
enough.
past 100 years.
Fair enough.
Right?
Yeah.
And as you know, in the Bruce's Beach case, what that case took was a combination of, that started with storytelling, right? Mm-hmm. We had a reporter who had a story. We had strong local political leadership, LA County Board of Supervisors. Mm-hmm. We had strong legal advocacy, right? And then we had really strong kind of grassroots advocacy and organizing, right? That's what that took to get that case back. But just looking at the laws and the legal system alone, that would have never happened mm-hmm. if I would have just walked into court and filed a lawsuit demanding that family get their land back. And so, even when the facts are clear, even if there was a legal remedy, that legal remedy doesn't help the tens of millions of families who were never allowed to buy property in the first place, right? And so this really felt like my purpose. This felt like my calling. I wanted to use the experience and the skills and the training and the access that I had been blessed to develop to have impact on a much broader scale.
Just between the two of us, just between you and me, and nobody listening.
Right.
Nobody's listening. Just you and me. Between the two of us, how scary is that when you know it's your purpose, your calling, your avocation, you still got to jump.
Yeah.
And when you jump, how scary is that?
You know, look, I'm blessed with an amazing support system, right? I got a strong village, starting with my family, my friends, my colleagues, the Oro team, the advisors, the supporters. And so for me, to be honest with you, what's scary is not jumping to pursue what I believe is my calling and my purpose. What was scary was not taking that jump, right? What was scary was staying in a comfortable job when I knew I had not just an idea, but I had the preparation that would position me to be able to execute this and unlock opportunity for millions of Americans. Now, look, and you make it. I want to be clear with the listeners. I want to be clear with you. Oro Impact is a social impact business, but this is a for-profit enterprise, and I want to talk about the size of this opportunity.
Sure, we'll get to the size in a moment here. Let me do this first. Again, I want to continue down on this road of playing devil's advocate for a couple minutes here. So it's pretty common sense to understand how you would convince a would-be homeowner to enroll in a program like this. Help me understand the other side, which is how you convince employers that it is in their best interest to put their money up to make this happen. Because I could give you a long, a litany of things that you're brilliant, I don't need to do this. But I give you all kind of things that employers ought to do that employers don't do, right? They ought to do it and they don't. I mean, there are a lot of employers who ought to give their employees better health care, but they don't. Again, that's a long list of what they ought to do, what they should do, shoulda, woulda, coulda, oughta, didn't, right? So how do you convince employers that this is the right thing, and not just the right thing, but in their best interest to do?
Yeah, listen, so no company is going to sign on to this program if they are not convinced that this is a good return on investment for them. The key to making this work is this is a high impact retention tool for employees, right? We talked about it, right? Average, and let's take an example. Let's take a hospital, and you've got nurses. Coming out of COVID, the nation has a massive nursing shortage. If you don't have enough nurses showing up on the hospital floor, you got to close beds. When you close beds, that limits your ability to bring in revenue for that, right? You've got hospital systems who are paying signing bonuses, who are paying staffing agencies to provide nurses, and it's very competitive. Nurses are getting offers to go to, leave town, go to this other city. And so the proposition for the company is, listen, go to your employees where you're having retention issues and offer them, let's take a number, right? $50,000. It depends on the market, right? The idea is enough money for the employee to make somewhere between a 10 to a 20% down payment. And the company can require that the employee put some money in as well, right? Maybe the employee puts in 10, the company puts in 50, but you go to the employee and you say, look, we're going to give you $50,000 to make a down payment. And so long as you stay here 5 years, we're going to forgive that. Or if you stay here 5 years, you don't have to make payments. When you look at the cost of turnover, and it ranges and there's estimates, but the numbers I've seen estimate that employee turnover cost is anywhere between 75% to 200% of an employee's salary. In a lot of cases, the amount of money that you'll offer an employee to stay for a down payment is a fraction of the cost that you would pay to replace that employee. And that's just on the numbers. Think about the loyalty impact, right? This is your company who helped you buy a home that your family's growing in. And then also think about think about the stickiness, right? So now I get a call from a hospital in another city, and they say, hey, we'll give you some money to come over here, but I own a home. I'm not renting. I got roots in this community. So I think it's a compelling proposition for employers. And look, for employers that don't think it makes sense, they won't try it. But my guess is with the high turnover and the cost of retention and the cost of attrition, my bet is that employers are going to see this as a very high impact opportunity to hold on to their good employees.
All right, so tell me, we were talking about scale earlier. Tell me where you start and how you scale.
Yeah. So I want to give a sense of just the size of this opportunity. And then I also want to respond to a comment you made about companies and about things companies should do that they don't do. So look, just to put this in perspective, right now we've got about 45 million households in this country that are renter households. Okay. And that's about a third of the households in the country, about 45 million. We estimate, looking at, various sources and numbers, we estimate that up to 70% of those 45 million households, they could become homeowners if they had access to a significant down payment. There's some percentage of the folks that, just don't earn enough or they're not in the market, but probably 70%. So that's 30 million, right? That's 30 million American households that could go from renters to homeowners. What else do we know? We know that the average homeowning household has net worth of about $305,000 compared to $5,000 for the average renter household. That's a difference of $300,000. Tavis, you take 30 million new homeowners times $300,000 of wealth. That's $9 trillion, brother. This has the potential to unlock $9 trillion of American wealth. And because folks in our community, African American community, are disproportionately renters, I think that we have the opportunity to participate in a lot of that wealth creation.
Yep. I'm glad you said that because I've seen so many programs over the course of my life, and you and I've had this conversation, off air. I've seen so many instances and programs in my life that come online and they sound good. And the pitch is this is going to help people of color. It's going to revolutionize. I love that word. It's going to revolutionize X, Y, or Z. And then once that thing rolls out and the data comes in, we find that black and brown people really didn't get a chance to participate at the level that we were told they would.
Absolutely. So look, let me be clear about this. This concept, this business, is agnostic around things like industry and sector and socioeconomics. This is the business that we're building is a tool that can be used in any space. It's agnostic. I'm not agnostic.
And employers may not be agnostic.
Right. But the point is, I'm not agnostic. I want to see this platform used to close the racial wealth gap. And so one of the strategic decisions that we've made as a business is that we're prioritizing, we've got 10 priority markets, and we're prioritizing markets that have a high number and a high percentage of black workers. We're starting in cities like Memphis, Jackson, Baltimore, Cleveland, Detroit, New Orleans, Oakland, parts of LA.
I love it.
Right? We want to go to major employers, hospitals, public university systems, school districts in these markets with the idea is if we can get those employers to invest in this program, we're going to be helping black and brown Americans build wealth.
So when we come forward, I want to challenge you. You're my friend and brother, and I still want to challenge you.
Let's go.
Because, to your word agnostic, the program is stellar, and I celebrate it. I'm excited about it. That's why I'm honored to have you on to launch it in your first in-depth conversation about it across the country. And there'll be, of course, many, many more of these in the years to come. And eventually we'll see you on the cover of Forbes magazine and Business Week. And it all started with a conversation on Tavis Smiley's little radio program. But what I do want to challenge when we come forward is how we know that employers will do the right thing by this in terms of offering it to people who look like you and me.
Absolutely.
Once it's in the house, they get to decide who they offer this program to. You follow me?
Yeah, let's talk.
We'll talk about that. You're listening to George Fatherhood III, and in dialogue about his new venture, his new fintech venture, aiming to revolutionize access to homeownership in this country. It's called Oro Impact. More about it when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
What's
What's up, party people? It's your favorite MC's favorite rapper, MC Light here. And we're celebrating 50 years of hip-hop, authentically powered by Cadillac. And we're going to take it way back to where it started. It was only fitting that hip-hop began with teenagers at a back-to-school jam in the rec room of a South Bronx apartment complex by an 18-year-old brother. By the way, I'm also sure he had a Cadillac parked outside. He noticed the energy on the dance floor when he switched between two turntables, extending the beats, repeating the breaks, and never losing the rhythms. And that was the birth of hip-hop. And from that moment, it took off.
For more on how Cadillac is celebrating hip-hop's 50th, visit Cadillac.com/audacity.
We welcome you on into a Tuesday. It is December 5th. I'm Mike Moore. Now here's the latest from the Black Information Network. In Michigan, 2 members of the Detroit Reparations Task Force have resigned. Co-chair Lauren Hood and member Morris Weeks have quit over what they say has been a lack of progress. The task force was set up to look into how blacks in Detroit could be paid for past racial discrimination and inequities known as transitional justice. The finalists for the Heisman Trophy have been announced. Players that are in the mix for this year's Heisman, awarded annually to the most outstanding player in college football, include Oregon quarterback Bo Nix, Washington QB Michael Penix Jr., LSU signal caller Jaden Daniels, and Ohio State wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Looking for a better way to get around LA? SoCal 511 gives you real-time traffic alerts to help you find faster ways to get around LA County. It's totally free and helps motorists easily find fast track and roadside assistance services. Visit go511.com or dial 511 on your phone.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers are back in action tonight. They play Phoenix at Crypto.com. It's a quarterfinal game in the NBA's in-season tournament. The winner advances to the semifinals in Vegas on Thursday. 7 p.m. tip-off tonight on TNT. This is not a good time for a bye week for Magic Johnson's NFL team, the Washington Commanders. As part owner of the Commanders, Magic will have extra time to think about what's wrong with his team. The 4-9 Commanders are in last place in the NFC East and have lost 4 straight. Magic has watched the Commanders' defense give up 90 points in their last 2 games. Next game for the Commanders is against the Rams on December 17th at SoFi. The transfer portal, otherwise known as free agency for NCAA football, is open. Student athletes have until January 2nd to apply at other schools. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Beware, if you are 60 or older, you may be at increased risk of hospitalization from RSV, respiratory syncytial virus.
Not all dangers come with warning labels. Talk to your pharmacist or doctor about getting vaccinated against RSV today. Learn more at bewareofrsv.com.
If you're a veteran with a service-connected disability that is directly impacting your ability to work, resources are available to help you find employment. VA's Veteran Readiness and Employment, or VR&E, can assist you with finding a job that uses your existing skills. Or, if you're interested in exploring a new field, a VR&E counselor can help you determine the right education or training options for a new career. Find out if VR&E is right for you by visiting va.gov/VRE today.
KBLA Talk 1580 is the exclusive media sponsor of this light of ours, activist photographers of the Civil Rights Movement. A dynamic new exhibition on view now at the Skirball Cultural Center in Los Angeles. This light of ours showcases more than 150 photos taken by movement insiders from diverse backgrounds that reveal the vital work undertaken by a broad coalition of organizers and everyday people whose collective action changed America. This light of ours is one of 3 temporary exhibitions currently on view at the Skirball, which together explore issues related to civil rights, immigration, and pluralism. Tickets and more information for all 3 exhibitions are available at skirball.org. That's skirball.org. SKIRBALL.org.
Today, young adults face big questions about their future. How will you make your mark? Do you want to be part of something bigger than yourself? Are you ready to learn new skills and make new friendships? Perhaps you have a dream that you're ready to make real. So, how will you make a mark with your future? As you embark on a journey toward finding these answers, the military can serve as a resource for providing help, information, and opportunities. A public service message from the Department of Defense. To learn more, visit todaysmilitary.com.
For some children, a single surgery can turn an untreated cleft into a smile for life. But at Smile Train, we understand that most children need a little extra care. They need medical, dental, and emotional resources to grow healthy and strong, to express themselves clearly, and to navigate all of life's challenges so that their smiles light up the room as brightly as possible. Visit SmileTrain.org to learn how Smile Train is supporting the cleft community with lifelong smiles.
He's rooting for everybody black. Everybody black. More of Tavis Smiley coming your way right now.
All right, so I said that I wanted to challenge my friend George Fabi III. He is the founder of the new fintech venture aimed at revolutionizing access to home ownership. I was just saying to George, it's called Oro Impact, by the way, in case you've just tuned in. It's a pretty amazing idea that I am certain is going to make him and his investors quite wealthy in the years to come. But more important than the wealth part, let's not poo-poo that. People got to pay rent, and George's kids need shoes and food to eat. So I'm not dismissing that. But more importantly, it's the work that he is doing for other people. I love ideas where you can both do good and well at the same time. And this is one of those ideas, particularly as it relates to our community and the fact that so many of us do not have that down payment that we need to purchase a home. And this idea that Oro Impact is addressing that, combined with low employee tenure, is a pretty amazing idea. I was saying to George in the break, I was laughing at him, like, it's always amazing to me how the ideas that make people uber wealthy are really simple ideas. Employers can't keep employees. Negroes need houses. You put those 2 things together, bam, you're rich. I mean, it's a pretty amazing concept, but it's a lot easier said than done, and somebody has to assign themselves to do it and take the risk, leave their job to spend all their time to build it. So it's not, again, it's a lot easier said than done, but it's a pretty amazing thing. I want to ask you right quick. We've been talking so far, George, about this as an option for private employers. But you mentioned earlier at the top of this conversation about Bruce's Beach, of course, that there was a strong city and county and state involvement to make that happen, which made me think about government. So it's great for private employers. Could this also work for city, county, other municipal entities?
Tavis, thanks for asking that. Absolutely. One of the things I found when I was doing my research around setting up this down payment assistance platform is that there are thousands of cities, counties, and states that already offer down payment assistance programs. Mm-hmm. Now, they don't necessarily offer down payment assistance for their employees, although some of them do. But the cities and counties, the government, they offer down payment assistance to residents as a poverty tool, as a way to turn renters into homeowners. Some of your folks may have heard about the state of California has got this Dream for All program, which they give $350 million in amounts, I think up to $250,000 for a down payment, just given the cost of living here. And so one of the ideas that I've had, and you're pressing me, you're challenging me, which I appreciate, around how this is going to be a tool to really close the racial wealth gap. I'm spending a lot of time traveling the country now, going to some of the cities that I mentioned, and the conversations, there's a lot of conversations about reparations and how do we implement reparations plans. Now, what complicates this is going back to your previous guest. What complicates this is our current Supreme Court composition, and how our current court is analyzing and scrutinizing the use of race. It was, of course, fine when it wasn't helping black people, but now that black people are getting into college and making money and being able to buy homes, now it's under scrutiny. And so one of the concepts that I have and that I'm talking with different cities and counties across the country, because let's be clear, local governments are interested in reparations across the country. Asheville, North Carolina, places in Illinois. I've been talking in the South. And so one of the ideas that I'm exploring and helping these governments develop is you could have a down payment assistance program where the eligibility is not based on race. You can't say this is available for black residents or this is available for Latino residents. But one of the things that I've suggested is let's tie eligibility to if your parents, your grandparents, or your great-grandparents lived in an area that was subject to racial redlining in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Because we know that if they lived in an area that was subject to racial redlining, it was hard to buy a home. You couldn't get a loan to buy a home. Okay, now guess what? There were some white folks who lived in neighborhoods that were subject to racial redlining. There were Japanese Americans. We had, Italian Americans, Jewish Americans. It wasn't based on race, we'll say, right? And so there are creative ways. And again, it goes back to Bruce's Beach. It goes back to LA County, who took a strong leadership position to want to do the right thing. And I think there are some creative ways that we can see cities, counties, states, through tools like down payment assistance, through tools like interest rate subsidies, address some of these historical wrongs that have resulted in this gaping racial wealth gap we've got.
You better be really creative in that regard. And I say that because, as you well know, being a brilliant attorney, Richard Blum and his cohorts are the ones who are behind the recent, Supreme Court decision on affirmative action. And they're crisscrossing this country. Any program that advantages people of color, or any program, they're after a program in Atlanta that advantages black women business owners.
I saw that.
You saw that story?
The fund, yeah, the fund.
The fund,
the
exactly.
Venture fund.
So any program that Richard Blum and his conservative cohorts can find that advantages people of color, they're going after. Yeah. And you don't want Oro Impact to get into a fight with Richard Blum. I mean, you're doing great work, but my point is the forces of evil. Yeah. The forces that don't want to see black folk own homes are out there.
Yeah, you know what? But we will be creative, but it's also can be simple. So, for example, one of the conversations I've had with the company, companies get to design this program, the cities design this program, and our platform, we facilitate it. But one of the things that the city or the employer gets to do is they determine eligibility. You see a lot of cities and states and counties say that in order to be eligible, you've got to be a first-time homeowner. You've got to be a first-generation homeowner, right? That means your parents didn't own a home or they died not owning a home. So there's ways that we can structure the program to help folks who have been locked out of the housing market historically. And the reality, Tavis, is like those folks are disproportionately us.
Yeah. When we come forward, I want to get all up in your business now. I got a few other questions, specifically about investors. I mentioned earlier that you jumped out and took this risk to found Oro Impact, this new fintech venture firm, which I believe is, in fact, going to revolutionize access to homeownership, certainly for our community. But I suspect you didn't do this by yourself. I want to talk about your investors and whether or not they are showing up to help you build this out. And also want to get you to offer some advice, whatever that might be, for black folk as we head into a holiday season. Where I'm going with this, well, I'll tell you where I'm going when we come forward. I will tell you where I am going when we come forward, but I'm going to get George to give you some advice that might help you as we move through this holiday season, particularly if you're interested in being a homeowner come 2024 and taking advantage of this program or others that might help you get into a home. We'll do that when we come forward with George Fatherhood III on Tavis Smiley.
You're listening to Tavis Smiley. Tavis Smiley. Ranked number 45 on the Heavy 100 list of the 100 most important radio talk show hosts in America.
What is dedication?
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that my kids wouldn't have a father. And I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. I definitely had to become a better man to be a better father. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
Environmental justice, pollution, and climate. In Los Angeles and across America, people of color are suffering and dying from disproportionate health impacts on a planet that has less than 10 years to prevent irreversible damage. Heat illnesses, respiratory illnesses, water-related illnesses, food system impacts, insect-related diseases, Black maternal health, and mental health effects. As the impacts of climate change mount, millions of vulnerable people, our people, are going to bear the brunt of these extreme environmental events, which will likely lead to forced displacement, loss of cultural identity, and other related risks. These realities are as real as rain. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details about the most progressive multimedia and live events campaign any Black media outlet has ever undertaken to combat the climate catastrophe. Experts, events, empowerment. It's all on the way from unapologetically progressive KBLA Talk 1580. We don't black down. We level up.
Level up, 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 level up.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
More honesty than you can handle. More empowerment than you can imagine. You're tuned in to Tavis Smiley.
I'm told by my board out Miles here, all kinds of folk in the watching the live stream, George, on our YouTube channel, and they've got all kinds of questions. One of them I think is really prescient, and that is, what does the FICO score have to do with all of this?
Yeah, so let me be clear about how the down payment assistance program works. When an employer or a city or county makes a down payment assistance loan, the home buyer still has to go out and get a mortgage loan, get a loan to buy the home. And that lender, that's, your traditional lenders, your banks, your mortgage brokers, those folks are going to look at credit score. And there's different programs where your credit score can range, but the down payment assistance that you get from your employer from the city or county is only going to be of use to you if you can turn around and get a loan from a lender to help you buy the home. And so I want to make an important point on this, and our timing is good because we're at the beginning of December. Folks have been hearing a lot about how high the interest rates are now. I think in the last month we've seen that soften a little bit. Hopefully going into 2024, we'll continue to see interest rates come down a little bit. Some folks are saying that, housing prices will either kind of stay or maybe start to soften. But the point I want to make is, if you think that you're going to be in the market to buy a home in 2024, especially in the first part of 2024, if you want to take advantage of a program like Oro Impact or one of the state or county or local programs, California's got Stream for All program, be careful not to max out your credit cards with holiday shopping.
Holiday shopping, yeah.
Right? One of the things that your credit score is based on is your credit capacity.
Mm-hmm.
And when you max out your credit cards, you use up your credit capacity, right? And that lowers your credit score. So for folks that are thinking about becoming homeowners in the first part of 2024, now is not the time to run up those credit cards. Spend time with the people you love, give them your time instead of gifts, but let's keep those credit card balances low if we want to buy a home coming up.
Great advice. Great advice. Let me ask you about your investors. To the extent you feel comfortable doing that, I assume that one doesn't take the risk that you're taking without some other folk coming with you. So what does that mean?
So look, we just launched the company, and we are, we're trying to be very deliberate. We're trying to build this very deliberately and consciously and methodically. My family right now is self-funding the company. The company is actually being funded in part through home equity that I have in my home, that I was able to buy. That said, I'm excited to announce, and especially excited to announce on this program, that I've got my first investor in the company. And my first investor in this company is the Bruce family.
Wow.
When I
hold up. I did not see that coming. This thing has come full circle.
Listen, Tavis, when I reached out to my former clients, the Bruces, and I explained that I was leaving the law firm, and they asked why. And I explained it was as a result of the opportunity that I had to represent their family. And I represented their family, for 3 years pro bono. It wasn't just me. We had a team at the firms. But it was the work that I did with their family. It was what I learned and what I discovered and what happened after that and the other Black families that I heard from, as we discussed, that really put this calling and this purpose inside of me that made me need to try to do this. And, nobody understands more the role that property ownership plays in wealth creation than the Bruces, who had their property robbed from them, who should all be billionaires at this point. And so I am. It's very meaningful to me, and I'm very proud that they. One of the things they said was we want to support you. And my hope, and I'm not promising this to anybody, but my hope is that the money that we recovered from the Bruce family with the return of the Bruce's Beach property is going to be a fraction of the money that they make as a result of their investment in Oro Impact. So I'm excited to share that with you, Tavis, and with your listeners.
I'm honored that you shared it. I'm about to cry, man. You talk about a full circle moment. I mean, you did so much to get them what they deserved, and to see them now repay, or put another way, to repay and pay it forward, is a beautiful thing. It's a holiday season. It's a holiday story, and I feel like a Hallmark movie. It just ended really nicely.
No, they want other families to have the opportunity that they had, which is the opportunity to create wealth through property ownership, and they see Oro Impact as providing that solution. So
it's a beautiful thing. There's my Hallmark ending for you, except that we ain't done yet. When we come forward, our remaining moments with George Fatherhood III and Oro Impact on Tavis Smiley.
Seeking the truth, speaking the truth. This is the Tavis Smiley Show.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
My daughter was diagnosed with a rare malignant rhabdoid tumor on the spine. They sent her straight to St. Jude. My hope was gone. But when you get there, everyone's like, hey, we're not going to give up. And when you see other people not giving up on your child, that makes all the difference in the world. When I found out I didn't have to pay, I was just grateful. They saved my baby's life.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions because we've got your black. Listen up. If you're one of the more than 100,000 California tenants who were rejected or delayed when applying for COVID rental assistance, you've got a second chance. Under the terms of a new settlement, California's Housing and Community Development Department agreed to audit its past denials. The program ended in March 2022, but the advocacy groups Alliance of Californians for Community Empowerment, Policy Link, and Strategic Actions for a Just Economy sued the department. According to the coalition's analysis of state data, the department rejected nearly 30% of all applicants. Under the settlement, the department agreed to clear all renters in the pipeline within 6 months. The settlement applies to anyone who sought assistance from the state's Housing is Key program before April 1st, 2022, whose applications is pending or was denied after June 6, 2022. Tenants who have questions about the status of their application can call the hotline at 833-430-2122. That's 833-430-2122. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Boom, 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 boom. Nissan has a car for every driver who wants more. More action. More fun. More guts. More head turns. More adventure. More electric. At Nissan, more is all we do.
Helping to make you the most knowledgeable person in your circle of friends. This is Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley with George Fatherhood III. I've got 3 minutes left, which I'm going to yield to the gentleman from Oro Impact for his final thoughts. I asked you about your investors, and that story about Bruce's Beach and the family and being your first investor just gave me chill bumps. But I didn't get a chance to ask you about partners. So answer that question and whatever else you want to add before we run out of time here.
Yeah, Tavis, excited to have really industry-leading partnerships. So we're announcing today our anchor preferred lender partner is Liberty Bank and Trust. Liberty Bank and Trust is the largest black-owned bank in the country, over $1 billion in assets, been around over 50 years, based in New Orleans, Louisiana. And
I know Alden McDonald quite well.
Yeah, okay,
He's an amazing guy.
And
I love Alden.
And his son Todd.
Sure.
So so we connected, and they saw the vision, and they're supporting the business. And then I've also got a software technology partner, HOTB Software Solutions. Now, folks haven't heard about this group, but this is the group. They've been around over a decade, and they've put out over $8 billion of housing assistance to homeowners that are struggling through COVID, through the financial crisis, through U.S. Treasury funds. So, two very strong and exciting partnerships.
Yep. Well, you're off and running, man. You're off and running. A great start. I feel humbled that you chose this platform to break the news to our community about what Oro Impact intends to do in terms of revolutionizing access to homeownership for our community. I wish you nothing but the best. As I say, only good things, good things in the months and years to come. This is one of those, I've been very fortunate in my career, as you may know, to have launched a number of people and had some pretty iconic conversations that years later I celebrate. I pushed Kanye West out, his first national interview. I pushed out Logic, his first national interview. I pushed out Esperanza Spalding. Wow. And there are others beyond the arts and creative space that I've had the honor of having on first when they made a major announcement. And then years later, you go back and you pull the tape and you say, 20 years ago when Oro Impact got started, George Fatherhood III came to see me, and now they are the primary reason that people of color in this country are homeowners. So I hope and pray that somewhere down the road we'll pull this tape of this conversation and celebrate all the great work and witness that you have done between now and then. So I say congratulations in advance. I know it's going to be a great success, and many people in our community are going to be benefited by the work of Oro Impact and George Fatherhood III. I appreciate you, my friend.
Well, brother, from your lips to God's ears,
yes.
On that front, thank you for having me. Look, if folks know companies that want to support their employees, that want to improve their retention, they should check out Oro Impact. And Tavis, look, the last thing I want to say is, this is not I've been inspired along this journey by other Black entrepreneurs that I've seen that are trying to have social impact. Companies like Isuzu come to mind, companies like Oro Impact here in Los Angeles. And these are Black social entrepreneurs who are inspiring us all through their creativity, through their business acumen, and I'm hoping to continue in that tradition. So thank you so much for allowing me to come and do the public launch of Oro Impact. Brother, I love what you do. We appreciate it. You have always been a critical voice in our community, educating, advocating, agitating. Keep doing what you do.
You are too kind. Same to you. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
We welcome you on into a Tuesday. It is December 5th. I'm Mike Moore. Co-chair Lauren Hood and member Morris Weeks have quit